Money does not inspire the brain. Let me repeat that. Money doesn't actually inspire your brain. Wealth inspires the brain. There's a difference between wealth and money. There's a difference between the brain and the mind. Check this out. The brain is actually pretty astonishing. Here's what inspires your brain: food, shelter, water. Because these are things the brain needs to survive. This is tied into the primitive mind, or what we refer to as monkey brain, the monkey brain of our mind. It's our survival asset and our survival factor, which is stored in the conscious or analytical mind through the ego. These are things that the brain will need: food, shelter, water. The brain needs sustenance. The brain needs energy. 25% of all your energy goes to programming your brain, to power your brain. So if you want to create wealth, you cannot focus on money. It's a paradox, because you say, well, money is wealth. No, not to your brain. To your mind, that is. So if you want to affect the mind, you have to target the brain. The brain creates chemicals. These new chemicals create the feelings, the emotion, the energy in motion, which drives the mind to attract and create. So you have to influence the primitive or the brain first, then you will access the mind. So if you want to have more money, don't focus on money. Money is actually nothing. It's something we made up. It's human construct. It's paper. We give it value. So what you should focus on is the wealth. So what is wealth? Wealth is what signifies freedom to you. What makes you feel good? What are the things that will give you peace of mind? Is it financial freedom? Is it freedom? Is it peace? Is it security? Is it happiness? Is it joy? That now inhabits the mind. See, once you start to focus on those things, then the money comes in at the back end of it. It's a reversal process. So if you're focusing on money to get wealth, you're doing it backwards. Focus on the wealth, then the money comes, because the money is tied. It's an energy transfer. That's the secret. Many of us have been taught we got to focus on money. We have to get the money to do this. No wonder we struggle and we don't meet with the consistency, because we've been programmed backwards. Again, if you think about money and you try to focus on money, your brain gives you a lot of resistance because it's something it doesn't need, it doesn't inspire. But if you start focusing on wealth, or what it would mean for you, what? Shelter, right? Nice, comfortable home. Your needs being met includes food, everything, right? Now those things inspire the brain, because the brain says, yes, these are our survival. We need this to power. Then it kickstart and adjusts your mind, because what it does now is now your mind and the brain starts to send these chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, all these feel-good chemicals now will induce this positive emotion. Your body's charged. Now your attractor factor increases, and then on the back end, the money will come. And all this takes place and is in a perfect synchronized harmony with the most powerful part of your consciousness, which is your subconscious mind, which gets that information from an even more powerful higher source known as your higher self. We haven't even gotten into that part yet. But the brain is primitive. Your brain does not like to work hard. Your brain likes to work efficient. The brain will always figure out and map out what is the easiest and most efficient way for me to survive. So you have to plan and put your life or your creation in that format. So if you want to influence your brain to make more money, don't think about the money. Think about the things that the money would represent. Think about what wealth means for you. There's a difference between wealthy and rich. Money and wealth. So that is some really, really good information that you need to know. Your brain is constantly pruning reality. Your brain is constantly looking for what inspires you. So that's how the mind works. The mind is this. The brain says, look, let's make it easy. Let's make my thoughts become congruent with my reality. That's what it wants. It wants what you think about to become what you live and experience. And this is all controlled and established through what is known as your subconscious mind. Now, if you start to think about money, which is nothing, then you kind of confuse the mind, because now the mind says, okay, it feels good, but there's no money coming because it's not giving that punch. But now if you start to think about, okay, what will my life look like this way when I have that? Then on the back end, the money comes. And you don't even have to worry about how the money is going to come, because that is controlled and operated by your higher self. It organizes everything and brings it to you in the perfect time. Now, this gets tricky for a lot of individuals to understand, because they think that they have to figure out how to get what they want in life, because they use an analytical mind, and it's predominantly the mind that we've been taught to use and incorporate in our daily lives. Now, there's something interesting with that mind. That mind only knows what it believes. So it's really hard to change that mind. That mind is kind of stuck in its beliefs because it experiences and it sees reality as a limitation. And it gives you that. It talks to you and it critiques you and it creates rebuttals when you attempt to do something positive, because the mind only knows one thing, what it's been programmed to believe. And if you think about your life and reflect back, what is the dominant belief that many of us have in our lives? Well, I can tell you this, it's probably one of these. Struggle is real. Struggle is natural. Working hard is the way to go. Working smart, efficient. Don't really work until you work hard. You have to know somebody to be wealthy. You have to be smart to be rich. You're not good enough. You got to meet the right connections. It's just the way it is. Da-da-da-da-da. That's pretty much what the mind does. So when we walk around and we establish and we attempt to create, we meet a lot of resistance. But hidden within that unconscious or subconscious mind is tied to your true self, your authentic self, which influences your reality and create anything for you. But you have to learn to trust and accept it. You have to learn to go beyond your primitive mind, the primitive ego, the false prison of reality mind. Once you start to go past that, then you'll start to access and create your life by design. But it all starts with knowing simple terms and simple situations of how your brain works. So now that you understand this, you have to start to use it now. Remember now, the brain likes to what? To work efficient. It likes to take the easiest route, because it takes a lot of energy. You know, when we eat and all the energy we've processed from our food and everything, 25% of that goes to your brain. And your brain needs to survive. So it knows that, okay, I need these things. So it is already wired for inspiration with these things. So that is a tool that you can use right now. And then you can see big changes in your life, because once you influence the brain, the mind is part of that now. Remember now, the mind and the brain is separate. The brain would be the central processing unit, and the mind would be the program. So if you keep the central processing unit up and up to date, then the program will run efficient. So you have to give the CPU the correct information to run properly. Once the CPU gets the proper information, then the program runs flawless. There's no glitches. Everything starts to come in perfect harmony. And that's how it works. You know, once you understand the brain and you use it correctly, then the mind affects it. You get all these feel-good chemicals, joy, you feel more happy, your vibration is raised, your magnetic force is out. Now you start to attract and bring things, because your attractive factor increases. Attractive factor is basically the energy we put out to create, or we can call it our creative magnetic energy, which operates in the electromagnetic spectrum of magnetism, electricity, that permeates and functions and brings things into the universe for us to create. And this is the secret to it. So now you have something very, very powerful and very interesting to learn, right? And if you start to do that, you'll see things come around. So now you know it's really backwards. We're programmed. A lot of things we're taught has been programmed backwards. And once you start to understand and uncover this, your life will be a total happiness, fulfillment, and now you'll be able to really program the brain and inspire the mind for what you truly desire.